I don't know how to verify this exactly, but it sure does feel like a lot of key pieces make their return in time for Indiana, or right as the Fever are either coming to town or they're hosting the Fever. Now, some of that is just a function of the calendar and the timing and when the games are played. Obviously, I think the Fever are a calendar date that is circled as well. You see teams get up for playing the Fever. They know there's going to be more viewers. They know there's going to be more eyes on the ball game as well. In this case, from a roster and personnel standpoint,
the locker room fell silent the moment the medical staff delivered the news. Sabrina Ionescu was stunned as the New York Liberty revealed their ultimate defensive weapon ahead of their matchup with Caitlin Clark. Everyone realized the Eastern Conference had shifted instantly. The front office had quietly prepared a response to Indiana's high-octane offense, creating a calculated defensive adjustment designed to limit Clark's impact on the perimeter.
It is a big return for the New York Liberty if they indeed get Leonie Fibic back for this game, who apparently said she plans to play. She hasn't played since July 3rd, Leonie Fibic, that is, of the Liberty. And why that's so big is she's basically the only player on the Liberty who can really guard on the perimeter and change things for them. My critique of the Liberty is that they're too slow-footed, and Fibic is the one who changes that. Now the coach, Chris DeMarco, did say, Jonquel Jones, who is going to be back probably as well, too.
For weeks, New York's biggest weakness was clear. Clark had been exploiting their slow perimeter defense with ease. Their defenders struggled to keep pace, creating open lanes and allowing opposing guards to penetrate into the paint. Analysts repeatedly highlighted the Liberty's lack of lateral quickness against elite ball handlers. Heading into their biggest showdown, the problem seemed impossible to solve. But behind the scenes, head coach Chris DeMarco was quietly preparing a strategic response.
Deployed against Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell and all of that. Not to mention she can hit the three ball. She's an elite three-point shooter. And the lineup data speaks to that as well. You can see this number here. The defensive rating when Ionescu, Stewart, and Jones are on the floor and Fibic is off, 108.6. That goes to 96.7 with her on. So that is a huge difference that could be back in Barclays Center against the Fever. Speaking of lineup data, I did look at the Fever's starting lineup. And
her unexpected return to the active roster created a major shift for New York's coaching staff, bringing an entirely different defensive presence. Fibic is far more than an ordinary role player. Her length, quickness, and basketball intelligence make her especially effective against perimeter threats. Without her, the Liberty struggled to defend one-on-one situations. Now, her presence changes the scouting strategy and gives New York the lockdown defender they urgently needed.
And check this out, it's pretty nuts when you look at the numbers for their starting lineup, because even against the Wings, they had a plus 28 net rating. And they outscored Dallas in the 19 minutes that Clark, Mitchell, Hull, Boston, and Timpson were on the floor. You extend that out, and they have a 113.1 offensive rating and a 83.5 defensive rating. That's a 29.6 net rating in 104 minutes. The Fever's offensive rating overall is 114.9, so the starting five actually has a slightly lower offensive rating, but it would still be second in the...
To understand Sabrina Ionescu's surprise, the numbers behind Fibic's impact tell the story. Without Fibic, alongside Breanna Stewart and Jonquel Jones, New York's defensive rating stands at 108.6, leaving them vulnerable against elite offenses. But when Phoebe joins them on the court, that figure drops dramatically to 96.7. That remarkable 12-point improvement transforms the Liberty's perimeter defense, turning a noticeable weakness into a much stronger defensive wall.
Plays that Monique Billings is on the positive end of lately. But, that's the way that the Fever have played against the Liberty. And you remember that last game where Caitlin Clark got Breanna Stewart out on the switch and hit the three over her. She got Hans Schuh out on the switch and hit the three over her as well. The Fever can have their way, but they have to make sure that they don't hesitate either. Caitlin Clark, that goes for her. You know, you watch this play where she had Awa Kuer out there, and Kuer is a much better defender on perimeter, much quicker. But you can look at Stephanie White. This should be a shot.
This goes beyond simply containing perimeter. It is about limiting the space where Caitlin Clark is most dangerous. Phoebe brings length and versatility, allow her to navigate screens, recover quickly, and challenge deep three-point attempts. In earlier matchups, Indiana repeatedly targeted New York's bigger defenders by pulling them outside. Clark capitalized whenever she found a switch. With Phoebe returning, those opportunities become harder to create, forcing Indiana to adjust offensively.
Kuer out there, and Kuer is a much better defender on perimeter, much quicker. But you can look at Stephanie White. This should be a shot from Caitlin Clark here. She can't hesitate. She did that too much against the Wings in a couple situations where she hesitated, where she really shouldn't have hesitated. And you see Stephanie White's reaction in the background. Why didn't you take that shot? And that's the one she wound up getting blocked on. She's got to go back to doing what she did against the Liberty and taking that shot. I mean, she even said that she likes taking those shots against the taller players because she can get it off.
Beyond her defensive impact, Phoebe adds reliable three-point shooting that stretches the floor and creates more opportunities for New York's offense. Defenders cannot easily help against Stewart and Jones inside without risking an open shooter on the perimeter. That creates another difficult challenge for Indiana, especially against a team capable of scoring from multiple areas. With Phoebe back, the Liberty gained both a strong defensive presence and a valuable floor spacer.
Can get the arc on the shot, so that's one thing to make sure that the Fever do is capitalize on those looks, and Caitlin Clark takes them. Then I think another thing they have to work on is getting the ball back to Caitlin Clark. This has been a problem as of late. When she gives it up, she does not get it back. You know, Aaliyah Boston here does not look her way when that should be a pass to Caitlin Clark. She looked ready to shoot on that play. She didn't get the ball. Want to see the Fever share the ball, snap that ball a little bit more, get that ball back to Caitlin Clark when she does give it up, because too many times she's creating for herself out of isolation and then creating for others at the
Depending on who you ask, this roster upgrade looks remarkably calculated. Around the league, it seems opponents keep getting key players back from injury just before facing the Indiana Fever. Teams understand that Caitlin Clark brings enormous attention, packed arenas, and major television exposure. No team wants to struggle under that spotlight. The Liberty appear to have this matchup marked on their calendar, making sure their roster was as strong as possible.
You know, narrowly, they crushed Vegas, that game that Vegas sat everybody, and in between that was the Fever 106-92 win. So we will see if the Fever can do that again, but it seems that the task got a little taller. There's some good length with Leonie Fibic as well. Length was, already in abundance for the Liberty. It's speed that they've been lacking, and that's why the Fever need to try to pick up the pace regardless of whether Fibic is in the lineup or not. Will they have the legs to do so? That's the open question, but gotta push the tempo against
the perimeter. Reinforcements were not the only boost, as star forward Jonquel Jones was also clear to anchor the paint. Jones provides tremendous size, rim protection, and veteran composure, strengthening New York's front court. Although the Liberty already had plenty of interior length, her return could help them dominate the boards. It also forces Indiana into a demanding half-court battle, where every possession becomes contested and physical. New York had serious concerns about its crowded front court, especially with Sada Sabali missing significant time and creating difficult lineup decisions. Critics believed relying heavily on players like Stewart, Jones, and Han Shu made the team too rigid and vulnerable against fast backcourts. Fibic, however, provides a missing connection between size and perimeter mobility, addressing a weakness that could have threatened New York's title hopes. Meanwhile, Indiana has quietly built one of the WNBA's most dominant starting units. With Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hull, Aaliyah Boston, and their core grouped together, the numbers are remarkable. Over more than 100 minutes, They have produced a 113.1 offensive rating and an 83.5 defensive rating, resulting in a staggering plus 29.6 net rating. Their starting defense would rank among the league's best. Indiana has also dominated stretches against Dallas, but New York's upgraded roster presents a completely different challenge. Previously, the Fever exploited New York's slow pace with speed, spacing, and aggressive perimeter play. Against Dallas, Clark had several moments where she hesitated on open perimeter opportunities instead of shooting immediately against athletic defenders. She sometimes second-guessed her release and drove into traffic. Head coach Stephanie White showed visible frustration, urging Clark to take those open shots. Against New York's elite defense, hesitation could become costly. Clark has said she is comfortable shooting over taller defenders because her high-arcing release helps create clean looks. Another concern involves Indiana's ball movement. When Clark gives up the ball in transition or early offense, teammates sometimes fail to find her again. Aaliyah Boston and other frontcourt players have occasionally missed Clark alone on the perimeter. Instead of quickly returning the ball to their primary scorer, possessions can become stagnant and turn into difficult isolation plays. If Indiana cannot improve its movement, New York could take advantage. Clark is already handling a heavy creative workload, generating offense while setting up teammates. Without quick return passes, Indiana can become predictable. Still, New York has shown vulnerabilities, including losses to Chicago and narrow escapes against Connecticut and Los Angeles. The Liberty's previous 106-92 defeat against Indiana remains significant. Fibic's return gives New York added confidence, while Indiana faces a demanding road stretch through Brooklyn and Chicago.